The guys win their third tag team title, defeating the Dudley Boys in June of 2001. Eventually they lose them to DDP and Chris Kanyon, and they team together until 2002. And that's when Farouk is drafted to the SmackDown brand. Around this time, he starts using his real name for his ring name. He's just Ron Simmons. And one of the supposed reasons for that is, of course, Al Qaeda is now a thing. And they have a training camp called Al Farouk. So we're not going to be Farouk anymore. Now we're just Ron Simmons. And that's probably where he belonged. Simmons has a brief heel run that nobody really remembers, where he teamed with Reverend Devon until he left TV until December of 2002. He does pop back up in June of 2003. He's with Bradshaw here to reunite APA, and they win the APA Invitational Barroom Brawl, which was, I guess, a match that Ron Simmons participated in along with Brother Love. That's probably a story for another day. His last storyline is in March. Ron Simmons is fired by the SmackDown general manager, Paul Heyman, after APA lose a match for the tag team titles. And it was assumed that both of the APA was fired, but Heyman tells Bradshaw that he's allowed to stay. And of course, that's the birth of the JBL character. So Simmons is going to effectively retire from his in-ring career here and accuse Bradshaw of not being a faithful friend, of course, all in storyline. In reality, I found in my research that Ron was let go that day. And the reason given, I can't believe this is real, is inappropriate contact or conduct rather. Apparently around this time, he had a backstage blow up that almost came to blows with the Big Show. And that would have been frightening for everyone involved. Perhaps it was a drug related issue, but nobody really knows exactly what happened to cause Ron Simmons' run here to come to an end. You were running talent relations at the time. What can you tell us?
You know, I saw this on the notes. I'm trying to remember. I'm not avoiding the issue because I just don't know the answer. And I'm not just going to bullshit and try to BS my way through it.
Yeah.
Don't remember, you know, it might've been it could have been a steroid issue.
Right.
It could have been a failed drug test. It could have been multiple failed drug tests. But it was something along those lines, because I don't think there's no way, unless the extenuating circumstances warranted it, which I don't remember in 2021, that he would have been canned for his altercation with Big Show.
What do you remember about the Big Show dust up? That's what I'm more.
It would have been a very short confrontation.
Okay.
Very short confrontation.
Yeah.
Ron Simmons was the man.
Yeah.
Don't let nobody bullshit you. And I love Paul White. I love the fact he's got his body. He's lost weight. He's trying to live longer. He's a lovable big South Carolina. He's the biggest gamecock of them all. The Big Show. But he's not at that time in his life, Simmons would have may well have dominated that confrontation. He would not, but you're right. It would have been bowling shoe ugly.
Right.
It would have been a little slobber knockerish, because both guys were going to be heavy hitters. They're going to be swinging for the fences and the first guy to connect. But man, I don't know. I've seen a lot of guys, tough guys in pro wrestling, as you could imagine. But Ron Simmons belongs in that rarefied air category. He's, and that's why nobody ribbed him.
Back in the day,
nobody would. Pardon me?
Back in the day, I was hanging out with Rick, and we were talking about the Steiners, because I was such a big Steiners fan as a kid. And he said, I'll never forget, they were just brutal to Ron, not to Ron, but to Butch Reed back when the whole Doom thing was happening. And I said, what do you mean? He said, oh, they were just terrible to him. They were ribbing him. They would tie him up and all this other stuff. And I asked Ron one day, why don't they fuck with you, man? And cause the Steiners had a reputation for fucking with guys. And so Butch Reed was not exempt from that. And Rick just curiously asked, Ron, why don't they fuck with you? And Ron matter-of-factly said, I'm unfuckwithable. And that became like my favorite catchphrase in wrestling ever behind the scenes. I'm unfuckwithable. And certainly Ron Simmons was here. And